Simple way to track calories and protein for beginners. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Vital Living. If you're new to fitness and nutrition, one of the most common pieces of advice you'll hear is to track your calories and protein. But for a lot of beginners, this sounds overwhelming. They imagine having to weigh every single thing they eat, spend hours logging food, and become obsessed with numbers. The truth is, tracking calories and protein doesn't have to be that complicated. When done in a smart and simple way, it can actually make your progress much clearer and easier to manage. Today, I'm going to show you a simple and beginner-friendly way to track calories and protein without it taking over your life. We're going to cover why tracking is useful, how to figure out your targets, the easiest ways to track, common mistakes to avoid, and how to make this sustainable long term. This isn't about being perfect with every gram. It's about getting enough information to make better decisions and see real progress. So if you want to stop guessing and start tracking in a way that actually helps you, stick around. Let's get into it. Why tracking calories and protein matters for beginners. When you first start trying to change your body, whether that's losing fat or building muscle, it's very easy to feel lost. You might be eating what you think is healthy, training consistently, but not seeing the results you want. One of the biggest reasons this happens is because most people have no idea how much they're actually eating. Our brains are terrible at estimating portion sizes and calorie intake. What feels like not that much food can actually be way over or under your needs. Tracking calories and protein gives you objective feedback. It helps you understand whether you're in a calorie deficit, surplus, or maintenance, whether you're eating enough protein to support your goals, why you might not be losing fat or gaining muscle even though you feel like you're doing everything right. For beginners especially, tracking for even a few weeks can be extremely eye-opening and educational. How to estimate your calorie needs. Before you start tracking, it helps to have a rough idea of how many calories you should be eating. The simplest way for most beginners is to use an online TDEE calculator. These calculators estimate your total daily energy expenditure, basically how many calories you burn per day based on your age, weight, height, and activity level. Once you have that number, you can adjust based on your goal. Fat loss. Subtract 300 to 500 calories from your TDEE. Muscle gain. Add 250 to 400 calories above your TDEE. Maintenance. Eat around your TDEE. These are just starting points. The real feedback will come from tracking and seeing how your body responds over 2 to 4 weeks. How to calculate your protein needs. Protein is especially important if you're training and want to build or preserve muscle. As a general guideline for most people who lift weights, fat loss, 1.8 to 2.4 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Muscle gain, 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Maintenance, around 1.6 to 2.0 grams per kilogram. For example, if you weigh 80 kilograms and want to lose fat, you might aim for 145 to 190 grams of protein per day. You don't need to hit these numbers perfectly every single day, but staying reasonably close most of the time will support better results. Best apps for tracking. Simple recommendations. There are many tracking apps available, but for beginners, I recommend keeping it simple. Here are some good options. MyFitnessPal. Still one of the most popular and user-friendly apps. It has a huge food database, barcode scanner, and is relatively easy to use. Chronometer. More accurate with micronutrients and good for people who want more detail, but still beginner-friendly. Lose It. Simple interface and good for people who want something less overwhelming than MyFitnessPal. MacroFactor, paid. Excellent if you want more accurate calorie and macro recommendations based on your actual progress. But it costs money. For most beginners, starting with MyFitnessPal, free version, is usually good enough. You can always switch later if you want something better. Step by step. How to track your food. Here's a simple process you can follow. Download an app and create an account. Set your goals, calories and protein, based on your calculations. Log everything you eat and drink throughout the day. Use the barcode scanner when possible for packaged foods. Weigh or measure your food when you can, especially at the beginning. This helps improve accuracy. Be consistent. Try to log most days, even if not perfectly. Review your data at the end of each week to see patterns. You don't need to weigh every single thing forever. After a few weeks, many people get good enough at estimating portions that they can track more loosely. How to track homemade meals and eating out. Tracking gets trickier with homemade food and restaurant meals. Here are some practical ways to handle it. For homemade meals, look up similar recipes in your app or create your own recipe by adding each ingredient. Over time, you can save these as custom meals. For eating out, many chain restaurants have nutrition information available. For local places, search for similar meals in your app and choose the closest option. It won't be perfect, but it's usually close enough. For social situations, don't stress too much. Log your best estimate and move on. One meal won't ruin your progress. Common mistakes beginners make when tracking. Here are some mistakes I see often. They try to be 100% perfect and get frustrated when they can't log something accurately. Tracking is a tool, not a test. They don't log drinks, snacks, or cooking oils. These small things can add up to hundreds of calories. They weigh themselves every day and expect the scale to move perfectly with their calorie intake. Weight fluctuates for many reasons. They give up after a week or two because it feels annoying. Tracking gets much easier after the first 2 to 3 weeks. They use tracking as an excuse to eat whatever they want as long as it fits their calories. This can work short-term but often backfires long-term if food quality is ignored. How to adjust based on your progress. Tracking is most useful when you use the data to make adjustments. After 2 to 4 weeks of consistent tracking, look at your results. If you're losing weight too slowly, or not at all, while in a deficit, right-pointing arrow reduce calories slightly or increase activity. If you're losing weight too fast and feeling weak, right-pointing arrow increase calories a bit. If you're not hitting your protein target, right-pointing arrow focus on adding more protein-rich foods to your meals. The goal is to use tracking as feedback, not as something that controls your life. How to make tracking less stressful. Many beginners quit tracking because it feels stressful. Here are some ways to make it easier. Don't aim for perfect accuracy every day. Good enough is usually fine. Track most of your food. But don't stress about small things, like a few berries or a splash of milk in coffee. Take progress photos and measurements in addition to tracking numbers. This gives you more feedback than the scale alone. Give yourself permission to take breaks from tracking when you need to. You can always come back to it later. When should you stop tracking? Tracking doesn't have to be permanent. Many people use it as a learning tool for a few months. Then transition to more intuitive eating while still paying attention to protein and overall portions. You might want to track more strictly when you're trying to lose fat or gain muscle intentionally. You feel like you've lost control of your eating. You want to understand your current habits better. You can track less when you've developed good habits and can estimate portions well. Tracking starts to feel obsessive or stressful. You just want to maintain your current weight. Final thoughts. Tracking calories and protein doesn't have to be complicated or stressful. For beginners, The goal is simply to get a better understanding of how much you're actually eating and whether it aligns with your goals. Start simple. Use an easy app, set reasonable targets, and track most of your food without obsessing over perfection. Over time, you'll get better at estimating and won't need to track as strictly. The people who get the best long-term results are usually the ones who use tracking as a tool to learn, not as something that controls them forever. If you want help setting up your calorie and protein targets or choosing the right app, just let me know your approximate weight, height, age, and main goal in the comments. Also, if you have any questions about tracking calories and protein, drop them below. I read pretty much every comment. If this video helped you feel more confident about tracking, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. We post new content every week about fitness, nutrition, and building better habits. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. Go try tracking for a week or two and see what you learn. And I'll see you in the next one.